How you track yourself in the college application process is so important, and how you build a college list is so important. Right. So here is a sample of a tracker that I've used with my students. And I've also used the same tracker to help my students list build. The first piece of this college tracker is pretty basic, right? Is school name. Right? Like what schools are you going to apply to? Where are the schools next to that location? Pretty straightforward and simple. But this next tier is really important. This next section talks about tier. So is this a reach school for you? Is this a target school for you? Is that a likely school for you? What does a reach school mean? Is this school going to be someplace that's going to be difficult for you to be admitted to? Right, some students, it's really important to look at yourself and ask yourself, like, is this going to be a school that is going to be incredibly difficult for me to be admitted to? How do you determine that? Look at your grades, right? If you are mostly a student and you've taken rigorous courses and rigorous curriculum, you're at your school and you know that a school like University of Southern California or Stanford are going to be a part of some of your reach schools because they're going to be having those lower acceptance rates. That's going to be a reach school for you. But for some of you, a reach school might be looking like something different. So you have a little bit more B's or even some C's or lower grades in general. You're going to want to make sure you're looking at the average kind of GPA if a school offers average GPA or the average acceptance rate. Oftentimes, admit rates tell you what type of students they're typically admitting, right? And so on average, if they're going to be on the lower end, of those acceptance rates, like they're in the less than 10%, less than 20%, that's a reach school for basically almost everyone. Typically 30 to 40% admit rate. That's going to be for your students who have some A's and B's, 50% and above. Right, there are going to be some students, who have a lot of plethora of grades. Right, I encourage you to partner with someone so that you can figure out what a reach school, a likely school, a target school looks like for you. Major of interest. I talked about majors of interest in my previous videos. Majors of interest are so important when you're applying to colleges. Why are they important? Because there are certain majors that are going to be harder to be accepted to at certain schools than others, right? So some school that might not be a reach school may become a reach school for you if you're interested. For example, if you're a boy and you're interested in computer science, that might be a school that's going to be harder for you to be admitted to because the school of computer science is going to be something that's going to be a little bit more selective. Like University of Denver's, for example, that's a really great program, and the school becomes more selective when you're interested in applying to the university's computer science program. Application type. How are you applying to the institution? Are you using the Common App? Are you applying through, the school's website? Are you using the Coalition app? Is there another special application that the college wants you to use? Something to keep in mind as well. If you're going to be submitting scores, what is that ACT, SAT score range? So the average 50%, what are the average 50% of applicants looking like? And then if you're going to send your score, there's times where you can send your score, and sometimes you can withhold your score. Setting your ACT or SAT score and withholding it, that's a strategic academic move. Sometimes sending your SAT score, ACT score is going to be a good thing if you fall within the middle of 50% or above, and sometimes it's going to be a bad thing, but you don't have to send your score to every single school. And so keep that in mind, as you're kind of like navigating this process. Um, how a school tracks demonstrated interest is incredibly important. And so how do you figure out if a school is tracking demonstrated interest? You go to their website, basically, right? And then, there should be some section that talks about demonstrated interest. If there isn't, or if you don't know, typically you want to reach out to the admissions office and ask if they're tracking demonstrated interest. Typically, if they're a huge school like Arizona State University, UCLA, USC, typically they're not tracking demonstrated interest. They're big schools. Typically, schools that track demonstrated interest are going to be smaller schools, smaller institutions, that are tracking this demonstrated interest. But typically, they'll have that on their website. If not, always feel free to contact the admissions office. Just give them a call, or just honestly shoot an email and they'll answer, which is really lovely. And then each admissions office, you'll have a regional representative. So no matter where you are in the world, no matter where you are in the country, no matter what state you go to school in, you have an admissions officer that's dedicated to you. That can be easily found on their website by honestly like going on the website, going to contact us, find your admissions officer. Pretty straight and simple. And you can reach out to them. Their emails will be there. You can contact them at any time. I know it's a bit surprising being able to find someone who is able to look at your be able to talk to someone who's able to look at your application, who is looking at your application, but it is that, which is super exciting. Determining whether or not you're going to be applying ED2, ED, regular decision, or early action. that is something that is going to be something that you want to figure out. You can only apply to one early decision school. We'll talk about what early decision means in another context, but one early decision school, and that is it. Right, same thing with early decision 2. You can only apply to one early decision 2 school. If you're applying restricted early action, you can only apply to one restricted early action school. You can apply early action to as many schools typically as you'd like, unless it's restricted early action. Those 4 schools that have restricted early action are going to be, Princeton, Stanford, Harvard, and Yale. So keep that in mind as well. And regular decision is also another place where you can apply to multiple schools regular decision. Again, we'll go into that demonstrated interest tracker, like demonstrated interest that you've shown. These tabs, I'm going to go ahead and make this available, this college track available, if you would like to use it soon after this post. But right, you want to track the demonstrated interest that you've shown to institutions. So jumping back a little bit, but a form of the biggest form of demonstrated interest to applying to a school is applying early decision. Right, that's why that's right after that early decision tab as well, because there's no greater form of demonstrated interest in applying early decision, honestly. Why? Because you're saying that if you're admitted, you're going to go to that school. So keep that in mind. And also understanding all the other forms of demonstrated interest that you can show. I have a tab for interviewing, right? And so interviewing is the form of really strong demonstrated interest that you can show to an institution. Right, you're able to showcase your fluency about the college. You're able to show that you've done excellent research, talk about any contextual pieces that you find important to yourself. You find that's going to be important to understanding your application's story as well. And then you also have a high school visit. Typically, not always, but typically, colleges will visit high schools. Sometimes colleges are not going to be visiting your high school specifically. And so if you want them to visit your high school, about right now, honestly, is the time where you want to send colleges an email saying, hey, we would love if you would visit our high school. We're located in, quote, I'm located in Los Angeles right now. So we're located in Los Angeles, and we're located in, quote, downtown LA. We would love if you come visit our school if you're visiting colleges in the Los Angeles area. And trust me, a lot of colleges visit a lot of schools in Los Angeles area. They don't visit all of them. But there's a lot of great institutions out there that if you are interested in applying to a school, like for example, the chances of you having Pitzer College visit you is pretty high if you live in Southern California, because of the Southern California school. Pitzer College, a great school, one of the Claremont colleges, right? But like email Pitzer, they'll happily probably come out and see your institution and visit with your high school. You just have to reach out and let them know that you're excited to welcome them to your campus. It is pretty as quick and simple as that. Right, knowing your application deadlines is important. The notification date, like when you're going to be notified when you're going to be admitted to, reminding yourself if you did apply or not. And if you did apply early action, for example, or you applied rolling decision, what the decision was, what happened, what's going on. That could also maybe even inform how you're going to build your college list from there on. But again, this is just a small tracker that, I'm utilizing with my students that will help students just stay organized, help students understand the importance of organization and the importance of staying on top of, the schools that they're applying to, and ensuring that, they have all the information that they need in one strong place. But again, I'm going to make this tracker available, shortly after this video is posted. And if you want that, go ahead and download it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, I work with students all the time. And so if you're interested in working with me as well, you can go ahead and either message me or visit my website on the company and go ahead and message me that way, or click the appointment section, in my bio, to create an appointment with me if you're looking at this on Instagram. But yeah, super excited to be working with students in general. I hope to see you all soon, and hopefully you can make use of this wonderful tracker. All right, everybody. Goodbye.